East Hartford. Connor Martin here, Mayor for the town of East Hartford. Last night we had a town council meeting, and here are the updates.
Hello.
All right, everybody. So from the top of the meeting, we had a special recognition for our resident Toshiko Uchino, who, if you know her, has been instrumental in trying to beautify certain sections of the town. Specifically, she has made such progress on planting hundreds of cherry trees around Rensselaer Field. In addition to that, she makes a significant effort to take care of the Manchester Land Trust, which is down by East River Drive, where one of our big murals are, highlighting many impactful and influential women of East Hartford. So we want to thank Toshiko for her work and her dedication to East Hartford. So we were able to give her a special recognition, a nice trophy, and she also was recognized by the Beautification Commission as well. So Toshiko, once again, we thank you for your commitment and your efforts to beautify East Hartford. All right, as we move down the agenda, we had approval of the minutes, and the next we had a presentation from our finance director concerning our OPEB supplemental appropriation. And so per our ordinance 10-52, which is the Retirement Benefit Trust Fund, there's an established fund for our retirement benefits. That's what OPEB is. It's other post-employment benefits. And the purpose of this fund is to meet long-term obligations of the towns regarding health benefits provided by retirees of the town. And so in accordance with our ordinance, when our total budget exceeds, or our total fund balance, which is the town's savings account essentially, exceeds 10.5% of our total budget. And so what that means is our total budget's around $221 million. Anything, our fund balance should be no more than 10.5% over that. Anything over that 10.5% gets automatically transferred and appropriated to the retirement benefit fund. And so that transfer came in the amount of $1,146,000. So that is what got transferred. And like I said, that is per our ordinance. When our fund balance is over 10.5% of our general fund, that excess surplus gets transferred over to OPEB. All right, next we had end of the year budget transfers. And so we do this every year. Our budget ends June 30th. The new budget starts July 1st, which is actually the same day that residents will get their tax bill as well. And so in order to close our books and make sure that we're closing our budget in the black, in the favorable, we need to make a number of end of the year transfers. And so we take surpluses from some departments where expenses didn't come in where we thought they would be. We had excess revenue or we had revenue that came in greater than we thought it would. And then we have departments where we have deficits, right? Where there was maybe some excess spending. Things came in a little bit higher cost than we had expected. And so we move money around at the end of the year, basically to balance our budget and ensure that we're closing our budget in the black. So we had a total transfer amount of $1.2 million. And so that was transferred from a number of departments to a number of deficits that we had in the budget. And we believe this year we'll definitely be able to close our budget in the black. So just typical end of the year budget closure type of stuff. All right. Next up, we had approval of the tax lien sales. And so I've reported on this before. This is for when folks essentially, or businesses, residents, are not paying their taxes. And so we'll make every effort to notify you. We'll make every effort to send out letters to give you every chance to pay these taxes. And unfortunately, many people, sometimes they don't or they can't. And so in order for the town to once again be able to balance its budget, and receive that tax money, we'll end up selling those taxes through a lien sale to a third party, in which then that resident or that business would then have to collect or pay that tax to that third party vendor. So the town gets made whole. We get the tax revenue that we were supposed to get. We turn over your taxes to a third party who then pursues that collection with you directly. So like I said, this is our last resort. This is something that is after a number of steps have been taken to get these taxes collected. Unfortunately, like I said, sometimes we're successful, sometimes you're not. But at the end of the day, we need to be made whole. We need to be able to balance our budget. So we go out to tax lien sales so that we can get that those taxes collected. So for the town of East Hartford. All right, next up, we had a request to amend a bid waiver renovation of our town-owned properties. And so our DPW department came to revise the bid waiver requests that they had achieved by council a few months ago. That bid waiver was in the amount of $1.2 million. That is ARPA funded money. That's the American Rescue Plan Act money. And that is to support the renovations of both the Brewer House as well as the Hocknum Library. And so what we did is revise the bid waiver to create a little bit of a contingency account in the amount of $201,000 out of that $1.2 million budget. And we did so that we could address unforeseen kind of repairs that come out. If you guys have seen driving by, the roof was replaced on Hocknum Library, but when we had started to peel back the roof, we started to identify that some of the decking underneath was rotted. That is something that you cannot see with a visible eye. You have to remove the roof to be able to see the sub base underneath it. And so it's something that you can't really forecast. It's one of those unforeseen things. These are both historic properties, so I'm sure there are other things that we're also going to find. So this puts aside a little bit of contingency money to be able to address those unforeseen repairs without having to go back and forth to council for every single unforeseen repair. So just creating a little bit of a contingency account so that we can keep the project moving along and address things that come up as the project moves along. Next one is a amendment to our construction and maintenance agreement with the Connecticut Southern Railroad, as well as an amendment to a bid waiver. So this is in relation to the McAuliffe Park at-grade railroad crossing. If anyone has been at the back of McAuliffe Park, you know that there's a cut in the fence over the railroad that goes into Veterans Terrace Housing Authority redevelopment. And so under Mayor Mike, a couple years ago when we had gotten American Rescue Plan Act money, we had allocated a portion of that money to this at-grade crossing. The crossing itself has been built at this point. However, what was not identified in the scope of work was ensuring that the safety, the bells, the whistles, all those mechanisms to ensure that a pedestrian can cross safely were in place. And so it also wasn't required at the time too by the railroad because of the speed in which the rail line goes. It's about a 5-mile-per-hour line. It's a freight line, so I've actually stood there myself to see trains come by, and it's quite slow, but the trains are quite large and they're quite loud. So regardless of what's required, we want to make sure that our residents are as safe as possible when crossing that at-grade crossing. So we want to make sure the lights, the bells, the whistles are all in place to be able to notify a resident of when a train is coming. And so that additional bid waiver came in the amount a total amount of $426,000, of which $400,000 of that was approved by the town council through the budget process in our capital improvement plan. And so really this bid waiver amends and it adds an additional $26,000 so that we have the budget to implement these safety mechanisms and to continue to move the project forward. All right, our next item is a memorandum of understanding with Capital Workforce Partners concerning the Summer Youth Employment and Learning Program. So this is our Summer Youth Program. This pretty much just authorizes me, like it does every year, to enter an agreement with Capital Workforce Partners. This is to be able to acquire funding as well as to secure about 60 spots for our summer youth or for our youth to gain summer employment. And we employ our youth in different aspects of our government, as well as partnering with local businesses in the town of East Hartford and the greater Hartford area. So we've got about 60 slots that we believe will be funded through the program. And so that program, I believe, starts July 1st. I know we have conducted some interviews. We're starting to finalize who's eligible for this program. But like I said, this is just simply an agreement to get me to be able to enter into the program with Capital Workforce Partners so that we can employ our youth this summer. All right, our next one is a transfer of contingency funds for the World War II Project Museum project. And so this transfer is in the amount of $20,000 from our contingency account in the total budget. This is going toward the World War II Legacy Foundation. World War II Legacy Foundation is run by Gary and Marianne Roy. They have opened up a brick and mortar museum now, a World War II museum. It is a first, I believe, in New England, here in East Hartford. It is at 102 Pickens Street. I would highly encourage you guys to visit that museum. It is up and running. They have a wonderful collection of World War II memorabilia, history, Just an absolutely fascinating space. I want to thank Gary and Marianne for their effort in bringing this sort of museum, this attraction, this asset to the town of East Hartford. And so we are transferring $20,000 to support their lease costs of the space, so that we can continue to sustain what I believe to be a very important asset in East Hartford. So want to thank Gary and Marianne once again. And if you're watching this, please go and visit the museum. It's wonderful. You're going to get a kick out of it. You're going to learn a lot about the history of World War II. And I think it's just, you're going to enjoy it quite a bit. So, like I said, just a transfer to be able to support them moving forward. Next, we had a referral to our fees committee. And this was to look at vendor fees for town sponsored events, in addition to residential solar permit fees. So as it relates to vendor fees, we want to be sure we're looking at our fees. These are our local vendors, so we want to be sure that it's affordable for them, but also covering our costs to support these events. So we refer that to the fees committee. We'll look at what's an appropriate fee, and if that fee is going to be increased, how we're going to gradually increase it, and make sure that it's communicated to our local vendors so that they're not blindsided. Next, we had a referral. All right, next is our residential solar permit fees. And so this is being spearheaded by our development department, who has recently launched a solar permitting pilot program in partnership with Solar App Plus, a free web-based platform developed by the U.S. Department of Energy National Renewable Energy Laboratory. The system automates permit processing for code compliant residential solar installation, allowing municipalities to streamline approvals, reduce staff review time, and support local clean energy. And so we're looking to just essentially establish a permit fee in order to use this platform, as well as to install solar on someone's home. So that is a referral to fees, so we can determine what the appropriate fee will be. All right, we're almost there. Our next one is a recommendation from Personnel and Pensions Subcommittee. This is for the proposed revisions to the job description of the administrative aide in the Department of Public Park and Recs. So this was a simple revision of the job description and update of it. It hadn't been updated since 1987. So this is bringing this job description and its duties in line with modern day Park and Recs operation. Next, we had a proposed job description for a boards and commissions clerk. We're trying to build a pool of boards and commissions clerks to support our boards and commissions. They are paid a small stipend per meeting. This is to be able to take the minutes, file the agendas, support the board and commission as best you can. So we just wanted to formalize a job description so we can start to build this pool of clerks to support our boards and commissions. All right, lastly, we had a number of amusement permit applications. One starting with Goodwin University's annual clam bake. That is going to take place Friday, June 20th from 5 to 10 p.m. at the Goodwin University Courtyard. I believe that's located at 211 Riverside Drive. All right, lastly, we had an event called It's Okay to Start Over. This is a local nonprofit that's running this community event. It's going to take place Saturday, August 2nd, 2025 from 3 to 7 p.m. with additional time built in at Martin Park. The rain date is going to be on August 16th. Same time and location. So they're going to have food, activities for the community. It's free and open to all. It will be at Martin Park. And we thank this local nonprofit for their effort to bring a community event like this here to East Hartford. Next event is the Pentecost Community Impact Event. This is a multi-day event being put on by the Charity Seventh-day Adventist Church located at 1535 Forbes Street. The first day is going to be Sunday, Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Fridays, and Saturdays. It's going to be August 2nd to August 23rd, 6 to 8:30 p.m., 9:30 a.m. to 8:30 p.m. on Saturdays. And like I said, it's going to be a multi-day event of fun, activities, resources. So come out and enjoy the great things that East Hartford has going on this summer. All right, my friends, that is a lot that we had to discuss on a town council meeting. For any additional information, just visit the town's website under town council and look up the packet so you can get more in-depth information on all of these items that I had mentioned. And with that, my friends, stay tuned for our next council meeting updates. And as always, have a wonderful day.